talked about it a number of times. Baker Mayfield completely underwhelmed in 2019. But let's take a look at this from a different perspective. A reason why Baker Mayfield is projected to bounce back in 2020. He regressed as a sophomore, throwing 22 touchdowns, 21 interceptions. But if you look exclusively at the second half of 2019, he did much better. He threw 18 touchdowns and only 9 interceptions, and his completion percentage went up. If you look at that alone, this explains how possibly Baker Mayfield is projected to do better in 2020 and have a bounce back year under new coach Kevin Stefanski.
All right. First of all, Doug Lesmerises, is that what you pictured the control room to look like here at More Sports and Less Levine?
It was much more high tech than I anticipated. I thought it might be a hamster on a wheel and a piece of string, but that looked pretty high tech.
Pretty high tech stuff. All right. I might be the only guy who believes this because as the season has worn off, or since the season has ended, everybody has made Baker Mayfield's 2019 year to be the worst in the history of mankind. I didn't think his second half was as bad as they made it out to be, but as long as you're going to blame Freddie Kitchens for stuff, you got to blame Baker Mayfield also. So where do you come down on that, his finish of last year, and where do you expect him to be this year?
Well, he wasn't throwing goal line passes to Antonio Callaway in the second half of last year, right? So that was better. Antonio Callaway is not going to be here to turn touchdowns into interceptions this year. I mean, we did go over it last year. He had a lot of goofy interceptions early on last year, and there was a lot going wrong that I think in the end the stats made him look worse than he actually was. Now, he also didn't look comfortable, but, was a new head coach. There were obviously issues with the play calling. He had never worked with Odell Beckham Jr. before, and Odell didn't play at all in the preseason. I think that was a huge deal. And we can't forget that Kareem Hunt didn't play in the first half of last year. And sometimes when Kareem Hunt's part of your offense, it makes everybody look better. So, I mean, there's a gajillion reasons to think that Baker Mayfield is going to be in a better place now. Now, again, we can't forget, it is a new head coach. It is a new play caller. It is a new quarterbacks coach. And they haven't been able to work together. I mean, I'm not expecting magic from week one with Baker Mayfield, but I do think it's a big deal that he and Odell are going to be in a better place. Now, again, he hasn't thrown to Austin Hooper, so that's a new toy on the offense for him. But there's reasons in the second half. There's just a lot of reasons of him being more comfortable that I think were happening in the second half last year and should carry over now.
Actually, if you're going to have, in your first 2 years, you're going to have a bad year and a good year, I think you'd rather have the good year in the second year. First year, you get cocky off that. Second year, you realize if you have a bad year, you realize what you have to do to overcome it. I'm actually very optimistic about what Baker Mayfield is going to be able to do this year. And a lot of it lends itself to the weapons he's going to have on the side.
So, two things. I agree with the Facebook poster who said the thing they're most excited about is the weapons. Odell Beckham makes a lot of money. Is he a long-term Brown? I don't know. Jarvis Landry makes a lot of money. Is he going to be here for years to come? I don't know. Nick Chubb's going to have a huge payday coming after his rookie deal expires. Will the Browns give it to him? I don't know. Kareem Hunt, is he going to be a backup here for long? I don't know. I don't know when Baker Mayfield's again going to have skill guys this good around, right? There's a lot of things that came together to give him these guys in this year. This is not, if Baker Mayfield's here for 10 more years, this is not what the skill guys are going to look like every year. So you cannot underestimate or overestimate. Just make sure your estimation is right, how important and how good these skill guys are. And the other thing is, I wrote about this last year, the history of good quarterbacks in the NFL, a boatload of them had bad second years. A million guys. It happens. What you said, Les, you're good early, you're good as a rookie, you get a little cocky, the league figures you out, you have a bad second year, and in year 3 you bounce back. It's totally normal. I think Tom Brady did it. Brett Favre did it. Go find my story. It's part of the maturation process for a lot of quarterbacks that end up very good.
You know what so many of us forget, and I'm guilty of this here, and I don't know that you are or not, but when you draft a guy number one, whether it's in the first round or the number one pick in the draft, you are not picking him for the next Sunday's games. You're picking him for the next 8 to 10 years. That's what you have to be looking at, and you make a great point. If you project down the road, Baker Mayfield's never going to have, in Cleveland, Baker Mayfield's never going to have a better surrounding cast.
No. I quibble a little bit with that, Les. The difference between being the overall number one pick and just a first rounder, I do think is a big deal, because Brandon Weeden and Johnny Manziel and Brady Quinn and everybody else, they didn't get 3 or 4 years of just work on it, figure it out. It does take being, I think, a top 5 pick to get a team to have that faith in you, to live with the mistakes, to live through the rough patches. And I think if you can do it, part of the issue with the Browns is they were picking quarterbacks in the 20s in the first round. And when you're picked in the 20s, it doesn't automatically come with patience. If you're the overall number one pick and your team bails on you after 2 years, your team is nuts. So the Browns have to be patient with Baker Mayfield. And that's a good thing. It's a good thing for him. It's a good thing for the Browns. And I think that part of what you get when you take a quarterback with the number one overall pick, and I think that's a benefit. You must have patience.
I shouldn't be able to walk into the quarterback room and as camp starts and say, Weeden, no, Johnny Manziel, no. I shouldn't be able to tell better than these quarterback coaches and the scouts as to who's going to succeed and who isn't. Who didn't look at Weeden? Who didn't look at Manziel and say these guys can't play? Everybody said they couldn't play, except the guys who made the picks.
And it's just hard. I mean, right? Sometimes when you're picking a guy that late, it's sort of like, well, we like this guy, but who else got picked? They fell to us. Oh, we didn't think Brady Quinn was going to be here this late. When you pick a guy number one overall, that is your guy.
Yeah.
And that's view him with some confidence, but there's also no doubt about, oh, well, if this other guy would have been there, they would have taken him. They picked Baker Mayfield out of anybody else, and you got to give him a long 4-year look at the very least, or it was a wasted pick. If you bail on him any sooner than 4 full years, you're doing it wrong.